Hi there, everybody. This is John Drew here at Elevated Planet.
And Jolé, Gabrielle here at Elevated Planet. And we would like to welcome you to today's show where we're really happy to have you because we are doing some really good work here. And the more of you that join us, the more healing that takes place. Our shows are moving in a whole other direction. And I'm so excited to be here. And John is going to tell us more about it.
So, I'm starting the day in a very civilized way with my Elevated Planet cup of tea. Mm.
Oh, let you guys know I have so much FOMO with that cup. I don't have one yet, but I will be getting one very soon.
We're going to go do a whole batch of them. Anyway, so we're not there yet, mind you. So, yeah, today's is going to be a really fascinating story unfolding. And we have got two fantastic, very special guests. And, I know a number of our community will be familiar with the work of Dr. David Clements and with Kerry K, and rightly so, because they are excellent at what they do. But again, we're going to give it the elevated planet focus and break it down and see what it means for us and all that kind of good stuff. So, just to start off with a bit of background on David, because again, I like to use their own words just to make sure we get it right and understand who they are. A very, very intelligent man, it's fair to say. So he gained his undergraduate degree in mathematical physics, two master's degrees in mathematics and theoretical physics, and then finally a doctor in theoretical physics. Hey, we've all been there, haven't we? So he became a professional theoretical physicist and mathematician working in some of the world's leading institutions. His academic research involved furthering the fields of superstring theory, a quantum theory of subatomic particles, and multidimensional spaces through to advanced concepts in electromagnetic. I'm just going to read David's words now. He said, I've always had, since I can remember, a vivid passion for peering behind the scenes to see how things really work and what is behind the curtain. I eventually left this profession after going through a profound shift in both my personal and outward perspectives, a holistic wake up, if you like. It was strongly apparent to me that science was a view of nature as if looking through filtered glasses of linearity, separation, and lifelessness. Removing that filter revealed to me an infinity of living wonder. This deep inner change paved the way for my view of the underlying principles of nature so as to be a holistic idea of reality based on living energy and consciousness, a living universe, one which was completely interconnected, intelligent, thriving, and fundamentally biased for life, growth, and expansion. So this is where it gets really exciting because this is the journey that we begin with David because we're going to cover some of David's work next week as well because there is so much. Honestly, we could do months and months on David and what he's uncovering so far, but we're going to do justice to it, and today we're going to put a particular slant on it, which is really interesting and good for the community to know for sure. The other one, obviously, we're going to start with is actually Kerry K. And her story is that as a child, she slipped in and out of life. Near death experiences became the doorway to the divine matrix, a realm within the organic universe that felt more alive than this one. Hospitals became more familiar than home, and I knew even then I was walking between worlds. Eventually, I forgot that reality until it was time to remember as a young adult. I began to piece together an entire childhood of traversing the veil and living in two realities at one. The clarity was crystal, the grand design of the false matrix we were living in, how we were designed to not see it and to remain in perpetual disconnection from our true selves. So important, right? And this is not by accident. These people come here, go through these challenges because this is what now enables her to actually see both realms and to be able to see that there is a false matrix in play. And we've talked about that so much over the last few weeks. So it's great to have Kerry talking to us about how the timelines are proceeding and explaining it to us in a fantastic, beautiful way. Um, so, Jolé, I don't think we're going to delay too long here, are we? Because we've got a power pack program and we need to be getting on with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, we've got to speed it up. So let's just keep going.
Yes. And just a quickie from Donna, who says, no deluded nonsense here. Deep gratitude for your guest selection, always divine order and integral in my awakening. We love having you with
Yes,
us, Donna, along with everybody else. So fantastic.
absolutely. Hold on to your hats. Here we go.
Yes.
There's a feeling of everything happening all at once because it is, but it isn't. There's this feeling as if there's a house of cards and it could come crumbling down at any minute because it is, but it isn't. Could Kerry please choose what she's trying to say? We've got two timelines right now, you guys. We've got two streams of consciousness. And up until now, you've been surfing both, which means you've been trying to keep your balance. A little bit in this timeline, which is the ascending timeline, so a little bit in higher consciousness, and then just enough of you in that lower timeline so you can still relate to the friends, the loved ones, the people that are populating the lower timeline. So you've learned the balancing act of being in between the two worlds. But now what happens is as these timelines pull apart from each other, because that's exactly where we are, you can still feel both energies. You can still feel both realities, which is why you've got that looming feeling like, whoa, we're on the brink of disclosure. It's here, it's now, it's any day. We're going to get disclosure about the extraterrestrials that are walking among us, that have populated planet Earth for so long. We're going to get disclosure about every political figure that you could think about and their involvement in something so massive that the brain boggles to even comprehend. You're going to get disclosure about the monetary system and just how corrupted, manipulated it actually is. And with that, there's going to be liberation, and the mind starts reeling as the realization hits that this is where we are. But that's where the higher timeline is. The timeline of density is walking around in confusion and saying nothing's happening because it's not. Nothing's happening in the lower timeline. Density is happening in the lower timeline. So now the confusion, do you see why you've got it? Now that one moment you're in bliss and one moment you're just falling apart. Do you see what's going on? You've been surfing two timelines, but unless you're doing the splits right now, you can't do it anymore. And even if you are able to do the splits, it's still too far apart. That's what's going on. And there's even another dynamic with these two timelines, which is each respective timeline, the lower and the higher, is moving into a bottleneck. This is interesting because what it means is for those in density, the bottleneck is almost asking, light is doing the same thing, almost asking each participant in that timeline, can you commit to this timeline now? So for people walking a path of density, this is a moment, this is a crossroads. The universe is asking them the question, are you certain? Are you sure? Is this for you? It's not a bad choice to make, but the choice is, look, if you keep walking and you commit to the path ahead of you and you walk through the bottleneck, which is going to refine your frequency into density, and it is going to cement your density into place. That's ultimately what that person is going to feel like, as if this is my nature now. This is who I am now. This isn't just something I'm experiencing. They're going to absorb that density into an identity. So for those walking that lower timeline, the crossroads is, are you certain you want to do this? And if they say yes, they're going to have a sense of relinquishing something, because they're relinquishing their chance or their opportunity to hop over into the higher timeline. So for a lot of people at crossroad points, it is that option that the universe is giving them, and it feels a little bit like an end of the line. The truth is, there will still be further choices. They're just going to get harder and harder each time. And by that, I mean, there still will be opportunities to jump from the lower to the higher timeline. It is just getting literally more difficult by the day. So the bottleneck is bringing people into density, into a deeper density, so that they can walk into a new world, which is a lower density world. And in that lower density world, I must just add, it will still be higher than the one we're in right now. What we're calling the lower density world is a 4D world. Just so you know, they're not walking into hell. We've walked through hell in order to be here, to bring ourselves here at this point where two timelines are going to diverge into two separate worlds. Not quite today, but coming up in, who knows, guys, it could be the next day, the next 10 years. Honestly, there is no time limit on when we walk into the ascension point, but that is what the ascension point is. It's the final split of those two timelines into two separate worlds. Those walking into the lower density world are going to become masters of the ascension journey, because that's what happens when you repeat something and you understand something and you know it within you with such a level of mastery. That's what those guys are planning on doing. We're jumping the queue. We're going, look, I'm pretty much done with lower density. I'm ready to elevate into higher density. And so we're headed into the 5D trajectory. By the way, you're seeing the light changing on my video for a reason. So just bear with me. I'm going to show you the other side of the door in a moment, but I don't want to lose track of where I am with this bottlenecking. Higher timeline is going to do the same thing. It's asking you the question, are you certain? Are you sure? Is this what you want? You really want to devote yourself to an elevation of consciousness, to a 5D journey. I know what stops a lot of people. It's the fear of, what about my loved ones? Because we don't understand that love is infinite and eternal, and it doesn't go away. And when we trust love more, then we'll trust the process of ascension more, and trust that each soul gets to make its own choice, because it does. So the bottlenecking into the higher timeline is going to bring up a set of circumstances in your life wherein you're going to go, hey, in order for me to get beyond where I am and progress past the point that I'm in right now, I've got to let go of something. I've got to let go of illusion. I've got to let go of lack. I've got to let go of an old identity. I've got to let go of some level of ego, which is ultimately the illusory self. So we're letting go in order to progress forward. Notice something, though, that at both bottlenecks, whether it's the lower or the higher timeline, they are crystallizing you deeper into that reality. There is no going back.
Isn't it lovely to have it explained like this? So we've been straddling two timelines at once so that we can continue to relate to the world around us despite our higher timeline bias. And yes, the imminent disclosure around so many things that most people are still understandably blind to is important as an awakening catalyst for those that will then choose to join us, or at least become spiritually curious enough to the point where we can be a bridge to help them understand the nature of consciousness and the human experience, such that they are able to decide if they can step out of the matrix and into the power of their individuated expression of divine life force energy here on the planet. Each person's choice is sacred and specific to their journey, so no judgment is ever necessary because the answer is always right for them. So, we are moving into a bottleneck, both on the upper and the lower timeline. So what does that look like? Well, in our show, Traversing the Singularity, Saratoga Ocean gave us an explanation that was relatively easy to grasp given the complexity of the issue. A link to that show is provided in the details below, so please do explore this if you would like clarification. One of the facets of approaching the singularity that looks like this is the speeding up of time, and I think that most people will relate to that. So just how fast and how congested things have to get before getting through the dimensional bottleneck remains to be seen, but forewarned is forearmed. And once we are through the bottleneck, we will feel more rooted in our choice, albeit for many on the lower timeline, they will likely be unaware of the choice they have made at a conscious level. To them, the world will be carrying on as normal, albeit stuck in density, although still with a chance to change their decision if they manage to act quickly enough. So, Jolé, what would you care to add?
Wow, that's a lot to take in, even for someone who does this work, the fact that there's two timelines, you feel it, it's something as an energy person who works with energy, you feel it. But to really articulate it in that way and to explain it how beautifully she was able to is how we know we are moving into a higher frequency and a higher vibration, because we're capturing it. You see that? So that is so beautiful. So now we have choices to make. And you're like, I want to go to that higher timeline. Please help me get there. And Dr. Joe Dispenza, in his meditations, he describes it as, let me take you over to paradise. Tell that part of you that, come with me. I will take you where you want to go. That part of us that's blocked, that's dense. What does it need from us to transform? John said it's about the journey on an individual level because each of us is unique. So what does that mean? It's a journey within. I get it. I'm also, struggle with vanity and some of the 7 deadly sins because I live in this society and I want to fit in and I want to be a part of. And I also want to show excellence and greatness in this timeline. So if that looks a certain way, maybe, a lot of people are able to jump out of the timeline and do their own thing, but that is rare. Like there's this saying that great comes every once in a while, but good is all the time. So that's what you're trying to get that density to understand is to let's move into integrity, be real, authentic about what it is that we want. That really takes time because a lot of us are working on behalf of others, right? We're doing things and we're taking care of others, allowing them to thrive, having a job, with these corporations and these CEOs picking up their laundry and writing their essays for their children and a number of things, fixing other people's cars and dishwashers. And this is how we make our living. But at some point, we've got to sit down and we've got to make it right with ourselves. And it doesn't look like catering to other people. I say that with the most humility and gratitude that I can, but that's what it takes sometimes. And a lot of us are so afraid to do that. So in a nutshell, and I'm at the front of the line, but to transcend to this next timeline of just say good, right? Of consistently being good and in good vibrations, good places, good experiences. You gotta release the fear.
Thank you, Jolé. Okay, well, now we are going to go back to Kerry K for part 2.
There is no in-between place that you can permanently live in. There is a temporary, weird limbo-like place between those two timelines, which is an important bridging moment that many light workers will devote themselves to. But again, this is very brief. Those two timelines, they're bringing you to another level of crystallization into the lower or the higher. But in the higher timeline, okay, now we're getting close to me showing you what's on the other side of that door. In the higher timeline, there is the Lemurian light codes. That's why the light is going funny on my face, because there is so much light outside the door. Literally, I'm in the beautiful island of Mauritius. I was here a couple of months ago, and I really felt called to be here. I really did. It was an absolute soul calling. And I arrived knowing I was going to be back soon. Didn't think it would be this soon, but here I am. The same calling spoke. And now I get why. Because on the other side of that refinement, the purification in our timeline is the calling of Lemuria, the light codes of Lemuria, the galactic codes of Lemuria that are going to call us into higher and higher densities. So let me stand up with you. Whoa, okay. There we go. I literally had to come outside, and this is where I am. This is the island of Mauritius. Beneath these oceans is a massive crystal. It's a massive Lemurian crystal, and that's a structure that we've embedded, or our ancestors embedded, consciousness into. And just as you look at that light over the ocean, you may already begin to feel the jingles and the tingles and that feeling coming online. Something in your DNA, look how bright it is. Something in your DNA gets activated when in the presence of, even through camera, when in the presence of this level of light. This is why I knew I had to come here, was to support us in bringing this next level of consciousness home, literally home into our bodies. That's what we're doing. We're bringing all of these light codes online. So as we do this, Kerry gets sorted again. As we do this, we realize that our ancestors left a level of support for us that is almost beyond comprehension, a level of support for us that would call us through the bottleneck of the timeline. Because this was always going to happen. We would feel the squashing, the squeezing, this constricting, the moment that we're in right now. And there would be a lot going on for us, just as there is right now. There'd be the looming potentiality of disclosure. There'd be the illusion that disclosure is going to save us, that in order for our truth to be true, other people need to know the truth, which is absolutely not how it works. There would be all of those illusions coming to the surface. We would need something that would help us to navigate beyond all of that confusion and illusion.
So, in order that I can bring in Lemurian light codes for our elevated planet community, I am proposing that we start a GoFundMe campaign that allows me to live on Mauritius, where I promise to swim the ocean on a daily basis, in the hope I get imbued with elevated Lemurian consciousness that I can then share with you all in the most selfless kind of way. But seriously, what is interesting is that I will be in Mauritius from the 28th of September to the 12th of October, as I'm getting married there. It's going to be so exciting seeing my bride-to-be for the first time as she disembarks from the flight from Thailand. Well, actually, no, I just made that bit up. My fiancée Emma is from my hometown of Sheffield, so in reality, there was none of that exotic catalogue bride shopping for me. It was, in fact, Joy from our community that alerted me to this Kerry K video saying, "So that's why you're getting married on Mauritius." Having then watched the video, I kind of had an aha moment as to why the universe had directed us to this specific part of the world for our wedding. It's very exciting. So one thing I am very aware of is that information and consciousness itself can be held within the silicon form of crystals, and whether Lemuria or Atlantis, there were many very powerful crystals used at that time, so it makes absolute sense that the Lemurians leave something that enables us to bring this next level of consciousness home into our bodies at this time. I'll be out there soaking up that beautiful sunlight, or in the ocean in my Speedos with my goggles and snorkel looking for a crystalline vision in the ocean. So, as for Lemurian light codes, watch this space. Jolé, what would you care to add?
It's a beautiful thing, John. That's amazing. Congratulations. And you can tell what direction you're going in the timeline and elevated planet, because you're moving into something so beautiful, collaboration. And not only that, her information about there being this crystal in Mauritius in the ocean is incredible. What Mother Earth has to offer for us, and how if we just flow with our intuition, we'll be led to these light codes so that we can get those upgrades. Because navigating out of the illusion takes purposeful action. And sometimes purposeful action is to sit down,
Yeah.
really, and slow down. And I understand that that sounds counterintuitive to what she's saying about, hey, you need to speed this up. But in order to speed it up properly and to get over that bridge, you got to kind of know who you are. What are your patterns? What are your triggers? How do you let go of them and release them? What are you fearing? I'm raising my hand here, and need to look at and dig into to let go of. And when you do that, how can you then help your fellow man do the same? Or is it your job to do that, or should you just detach? See, there's a lot of questions here that deal with not just you, but you, your environment, Mother Earth, your relationships. So it's really time to sit down and reassess in a way that drops baggage, in a way that allows you to face that fear and say, hey, thank you for being here, but I don't need you anymore. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to take this risk. So it's really about self-love as well, because that encapsulates all of the things I'm talking about and all of the things that Kerry spoke about. And it is absolutely the portal to get you to that higher timeline.
Yeah, it is exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely exciting times. And that's how we want to look at it, regardless of what you're going through. See the joy in it as much as possible. And reach out your hand to not to ask for support. Maybe someone just needs a squeeze, or, you need to squeeze to know that someone is there for you and you're there for someone. That's the energy that we're moving into, because these judgments and labels are dying. It's like we're really realizing that some of these ways that our society is structured is toxic.
Yeah.
And we're looking to change that. So this is a beautiful time.
Yes, it is. We're going to see a lot of systems upended for very good reason, because what's coming in behind it is going to be amazing. Exciting, exciting. We've not completely done with Kerry yet. We will be coming back to her pre-meditation, so she will finish things off for us. But where we are going now is to Dr. David Clements. Now, I've gone some way into this particular interview before this starts, so just to give you a little bit of background on Dr. David Clements, I love him. What happened with him, it went from academia, and then he discovered remote viewing. That was quite an eye-opener for him. And then he realized that the woo-woo stuff was real. And that was just like when he was a student in university. So then he's kind of like coupled this, and then he got the Pleiadians reaching out to him. Then he got the Arcturus. He's an amazing guy. We're going to cover some of this next week as well, because there is so much information to cover. We're moving back into Dr. David Clements now. So hang on to your hats, everybody.
When I was building a device that the Arcturians were helping me to make, and I was getting frustrated again because I was trying to understand more of the structural qualities of this, and they said, no, just settle down. They said, what you're going to understand is there's going to be a world of difference between living and understanding from the heart intelligence than there is from your mind intelligence. And bear in mind, the Arcturians are just an unfathomably advanced race, spiritually, energetically, mentally, at all aspects. Their living energy tech, if you like, is renowned, as far as I understand, around this universe. It's profound. And this race of beings, were literally saying, if you live from here, if you work from here, if you perceive from here, you're going to see vistas, things you can never see from here. And you're going to operate in ways that are going to be supremely beneficial to everyone and everything, because that is how the intelligence of love operates. And that was quite an aha moment for me, because I had such a reverence for the Arcturians and what they had done and the living technologies that they created. I thought, wow, I really have been coming at this from the wrong angle because of my background and training that was so structural and so rigid and linear and mechanical. And it opened me up to understand that heart perception is way, way beyond any other levels of perception. And it doesn't make those other levels of perception wrong. It just means that what they're saying is that when humanity learns to have all those other facets of perception become extensions or instruments of the heart center, of the sacred heart center, that living intelligence, you will have perceptions of things beyond your wildest imagination. Because right now, humanity is so locked into such a rigid, almost super confined, limited bandwidth of perception of what you can and can't see. And we think, oh, this is the whole world. All we've got to do is just roll out the right formulas and get it together, and then we've got our grasp on reality. No, nothing could be further from the truth in my view. And so to come back to the original question about my team, so it was the Pleiadians, the Arcturians, and there was a mix of other groups there that were from way outside of our galaxy, names that I couldn't even begin to pronounce. And they all started contributing and helping along. The Andromedans were some of them the contributors as well. And what they really would love to help humanity do is to learn that we've never not had the ability to perceive advanced multidimensional energetics. But we've cornered ourselves, and that's a very key expression. We have cornered ourselves by using our free will to desensitize ourselves and put ourselves in such a clamp, energetic clamp, that all we can see is basically bare bones physical stuff, And a lot of people say, oh, I wish I could see this and I wish I could see it. Well, actually you can. You just have to undo the self-clamping that you've put on through many different lifetimes for many different reasons, and everybody's path is uniquely different, of how you have literally clamped your perceptive abilities down just to this minimal little focus point which just says physical, 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 and that's it. And so it's this huge vista, this huge perception change that I went through in what these beings were helping me to do. And the more I experienced, and the other key thing they said, look, play and experience are fundamentally important. Because I wanted to kind of like, when they'd give me an idea, right, okay, how do I do this? And all the, getting that sort of monkey brain of mine wanted to jump in on it. And they said, no. Don't try to dissect it before you built it, because you haven't had the experience of the energy yet. You don't know, you haven't had a direct experience yet. So they were saying one of the key things is to build, switch it on, feel, and play. Get to learn what it is that you're dealing with by having a direct experience of it. If they were saying, if you want to just sit back and try to intellectually conjure up what it is you think you're going to experience, you're going to get it all wrong. That's not going to happen that way. And so they're very big on humanity, being very playful, because the playfulness gives you that relaxation and openness, that it's all fun, because that's what it should be. There is no serious in this. And my dealing with the teams, they are just a bunch of jokers, really. They love mucking around. Any chance to be fun and playful, they're right there, And, my wife, when she gets information for me sometimes when I'm going through some purgings, said, your higher self is so funny. He's always making jokes about what you're going through and things like that, And I believe that's the case, because in my former years, when I began my journey into higher self connection, as a lot of people do, they get very serious about it. This is almost like a solemn practice, and they say, no, don't do that. Just brush that off. Keep it fun. It's got to be really jovial. It's got to be really, rich with laughter. Because that is where you're going to get the greatest access, because the living intelligence that is love is exactly that. It is playful. It is the child that wants to explore and open up and do fun things and play with things, jump on things. And, that is the essence of the living source intelligence within us.
Really bridging, he speaks about direct experience and the nature of joy and amusement that the soul architecture or parts of it bring. And it's very true. And that's the beauty about connecting with these parts of us, is the experiences holistically we begin to feel. It's like seeing someone win. It makes us feel so good. Seeing others thrive begins to make us feel like, wow, that's amazing. I can do it. I can do it too. Seeing the beauty in others, like opening yourself up and realizing that that's a part of you, is part and parcel of transitioning to this new timeline. The density is released once you're ready to embrace your fellow man. Of course, first you and all parts of you, the ugly, the good, the bad. Love it, love on it, because the more you love on it, the more your frequency raises. And then once your frequency raises, you realize that my cells and their cells are the same and they're communicating. So why not communicate with love, with joy, with beauty? And that is like the underscoring of this transition. And that is the thing that brings in more love, which then lets go of releases the fear out of the whole atmosphere. And that's what we're trying to do, because what we're in is a fear matrix, first and foremost, right? You're trying to live your life and move forward and develop spiritually, but everyone is saying, no, you've got to be grounded here because there's bills to pay, there's things to do. It's really time to bridge that gap. What if you let go of that just for a moment and decided? And for those of you that love your job, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to those career individuals that have heart issues and they've dealt with cancer and they have sciatica, back pain. And, what if you just for a moment said, you know what? My back really hurts bad. I got to let this go for a minute and I got to do me. I got to repair me, put me back together. That's kind of what David Clements is speaking to. That's what Kerry K is speaking to. And that's what transitioning from this timeline and letting go of that density. That's just one example. And it's one that resonates with me because the choices that I'm making, to other people on the outside looking in, they might look crazy. They might look unstable. But at the same time, I'm following what it is that I'm guided to do, and it's working. It may be slow, I'm speeding it up, but it's working. And so I put that energy out there in hopes that you will also put yourself first, which reverberates out there and allows for other people to do the same.
Yeah, one of the things that, again, that made me think when you were talking there is that, you know, we're encouraged by the world around us into seriousness all the time. Whatever that program is going to be, that fear-based, division-based, lack-based, we're always encouraged into seriousness. But that's the trick. You don't fall for it, because I love that David's higher self make jokes about him to his wife. And humor is liberating, because once you're in that freedom of expression that comes from the joy, that comes from the laughter, that comes from the celebration of life, then all the rest of that density starts to drop away. And you can just understand the point that he's making, on that his guides have told him about, you know, the Pleiadians and the Arcturians. They're talking about going into the heart, but it's about joy. It's about what lights you up as an individual, because that's what you're here to do. You're not here to
Yes.
do the drudgery that you hate. You're here to do the stuff that lights you up. So, okay, right. We are going to go back to David for the next section.
But having the direct experience of the living energetics that would happen, and when I replicated what John was doing and made my own different versions that the Arcturians were helping me make, the energetics that would come off with this thing were just so sublime and beautiful. You know, you turn this thing on, and I remember the first time I switched it on, we're in Thailand at the time because I was building it there. And just the whole apartment just went like really high, and I was like, whoa, you know, I wasn't physically levitating, but I felt like I was, because the energies were so high. And I was texting my wife saying, get back, and just like, as you come towards the apartment, tell me what you feel. You know, I was so excited. And I realized, wow, just how such a profound jump in energy, just a simple system of a coiling system, you know, running on incredibly low voltage. It was like 5 or 10 volts. It wasn't anything at all. But that simple system was able to produce an energetic that flooded the entire apartment, and, you know, and just lifted the whole thing up. It was crazy. And then later on, we thought, well, what happens if, you know, we were sitting down, and then my teams came in and they said, hey, have you ever thought about putting your food near that device? See what happens. Thought, okay, I've just made this. How long do we have to put it next to it? This is just a few minutes. It's fine. It's like, I don't want it to get cold. So, you know, we put it next to the device and left it for a few minutes. And the difference afterwards was just, I can't really express in words, just the profound energetic difference in the material that was the food after being near this device.
So is there anyone out there right now who is not asking the question, what are these amazing energy devices and how do I get one? Well, we're well ahead of you. I created the following by butchering David's promo video, of which the full version will be in the show notes below. And it takes us deep into the energetic fields in the all-important codes that sit within them. This gives us a clear idea of what this is all about and the how and why this really does work. So, strap on your cranial retention helmets, because your mind may well be blown, and we don't want to be responsible for clearing up the mess.
Energy codes are everywhere. This visual shows a waveform with its associated energy codes, represented here by luminescent particles within the waveform itself. They are within electromagnetic waves, matter and complex structures such as cells and beyond. And there are two classes of energy codes which are of interest here: the generative type, which is life-supporting, or the degenerative, which is life-degrading. Both have active effects on that which they are absorbed by. It is important to understand that nature is thriving and abundant in generative energy codes, whereas artificial or technological influences from our research contain more degenerative codes. Let's now take a deeper look at the layers of reality, from the material all the way through to the pure quantum, in a new view of coded energy structures and the makeup of material form. In the first field layer, the physical layer, this makes up everything that you can see, physically interact with, and measure with conventional instruments, which is essentially the world you live in and see around you every day. In the next field layers, which are the sub-physical layers, material-like forms do exist but are more morphic or fluid-like in their properties. And now to the sub-quantum field layers. These layers contain the foundational nebulous forms that can densify into the submaterial and then material layers. The concept of separation is not present here as everything is interconnected. Physics in these layers is vastly different from the submaterial and material ones. The pure quantum field layers. These layers are the foundational fields that create the various forms in the subquantum through to the material layers. They are layers of no time and no space, which are constructs of the lower layers. In the physical field layers, both generative and degenerative codes exist. These codes exist within holographic forms, including electromagnetic waves, to denser material forms such as matter. Within these layers, measurement devices can measure the physical aspects of holographic forms, but cannot perceive the coding aspect. This is very important because such instruments can only measure the motion of electronic charge. In the subphysical layers, both generative and degenerative codes exist still, just as with the physical layers. However, in this level, measuring instruments can barely detect phenomena that occurs here, if at all. This is a very important layer to consider, since even if the degenerative coded influences in the physical are addressed, the human makeup resonates with the subphysical levels and coding also, and so continues to be influenced by them, even if those codes are in waves or matter that is not yet fully condensed in the subphysical. And so any solution that corrects the degenerative coding influences must then also act in these regions of reality. The subquantum layers are where only generative coding exists. It is impossible for any degeneration to exist here. The quantum field is a living, benevolent field that is biased for generation and life. These levels are where very high vibrational forms exist, and the density of matter cannot. The behavior of energy here is vastly different from that which we understand form to have. In the subquantum, the concept of separated matter no longer exists, and everything is completely interconnected. The quantum field is the source and underlying field of all levels it supports, from the subquantum through to the densest physical layers of what we perceive as solid matter. These are fields of pure consciousness and potential, a reality of no time and no space, where all things that can exist do as potentials. It is the purely benevolent creative field from which all form develops. The quantum field is the source and underlying field of all levels, from the subquantum through to the densest physical layers of what we perceive as solid matter. All phenomena and characteristics within those layers are completely determined by and can be changed by the quantum field. It is from this level that all codes and holographic forms can be transformed or repurposed from degenerative to generative. Principle 1 applies the quantum field to repurpose the degenerative coding in all levels of the physical and subphysical layers within the range of the ISEE innovation being used. This is so that only generative coding exists in that environmental range, creating a harmonic and nurturing space within the ISEE environment that now becomes generatively coded. Life and human beings have a symbiosis, a synergy with nature, with the Earth's natural field grids. This is a natural exchange of generative codes that you receive and give to both the Sun and the Earth. The modern way of living, particularly exposure to degenerative codes, as well as living and working in buildings that are far from nature, can greatly interrupt and even diminish this flow and connection. Principle 2 is designed to imbue your ISEE environment with the codes that you would naturally get while out in the riches of nature. These codes are also intended to strengthen your natural connection to the earth grids, regardless of whether you live in a high-rise building or deep in a forest. Having and maintaining such a symbiotic connection, we believe, is vital for human well-being. Imbued in a generative environment, your well-being and life path are better supported. Further to this, the ISEE innovations are designed to create generative codes that the core of each individual wishes to experience in self-support. This is done in concert with the core of your being, as the ISEE field utilizes the quantum field to which you are intimately connected. The ISEE innovations use pyramidal geometry for amplification, but at the heart of each is the ISEE core.
And we're back. So, isn't it fantastic? Um, I just blown away by this. I mean, these products that have been created are kind of completely life-changing as I see it. And obviously everybody has to make their own mind up on that. But when you get to understand the physics behind it, and you kind of realize that this is absolutely, monumental because this is coming from the wisdom of our galactic friends as well, that have helped to create this, along with a brilliant man who also has that heart-based consciousness at his very core. And that's how, and I just find that so fascinating that, we as a species have been so boxed in, right? And that's the way we've been educated. And now you realize that if we truly want to learn, you do it through the heart. You open up, you need that feeling of inspiration. You need to feel the joy of everything, and it will come pouring into you and it will stay with you. I just love that. And it's interesting, isn't it? The pyramidal form that these things are in it's just like I just got a couple of examples here, right? The organite type of crystals that I use here because again, it helps to change those positive ions from using computers all the time, screens, electronics, phones. And this helps to change the positive ions into negative ions, which are the ones which are very in touch, in tune with nature and the likes. There's that one which has got my little pagan star underneath it. That kind of takes me back to the little pagan times. And that one there is all spirals and a flower of life in it. It's just beautiful. But that pyramidal thing is obviously an accentuator of energy. Now, that's the good news. Now, the not so good news is that having explored the website, everything is out of stock, right? Which is not that surprising because I know David has done a number of interviews in recent times, and that's the first thing you think of. I want those. I want something like that. Now, if you go onto the website, and I'll put the link to the website in the details below, and you check it out, I'll do that soon after the show. But you'll find that you can go onto a waiting list. So if there's something that you want to do, I mean, I'm really keen to get the one which is the entire environment, the house. And then there's also the one which does the food. So again, getting the energetics of your food, because I do know, and I remember we had a discussion with the ladies from Crystal Water Experience, Dr. Joe Whitaker and Kelly Heinsohn. And what they were doing is putting light codes back together into like water and the likes to kind of, again, bring that back into a structured, coherent water. Same kind of principle. And again, check out Crystal Water Experience if you like, because they will have things in stock that David doesn't. But nevertheless, it's kind of nice to know that these things are there now to support us. Because whilst we're surrounded in technology, whilst we're surrounded with even like the likes of 5D, which is, a disgrace really. It's not 5D, sorry, 5G. 5D is brilliant. 5G is the disgrace. That's the thing which is so destructive. If you live close to a 5G tower, then go over there with your screwdriver and disconnect it at some point is what I would say. But nevertheless, it's fascinating, and you can go on that waiting list. I'm on the waiting list for a couple of things. See how long that takes to turn up. But I do want to feel that, like as David describes it, once he got it switched on, it goes whoosh. And it's so simple, I mean, you don't even have to plug it in. It picks up energy and it's beautiful. Anyway, enough. Jolé, can I bring you back in, please?
Absolutely. And what is so incredible about David Clements and his work is that he is harnessing ancient technology.
Right.
And it's been here. And so what that means is that the covers are coming off and we're going to be able to make these connections, and all the stuff that's been lost is going to start being found and connected. But we really want you to know also that this work is so powerful. John just kind of happened upon it. It's not like we sponsor this or we know David Clemens or he's our friend in any way. We're not affiliated. But this is something that we found that we love and we want to share with you because it's truly an incredible new technology that we need to latch onto. Like I said, capture these things now so that we won't lose them again.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I mean, if there was a way of actually helping them to ramp up manufacturing, but they're sold out for a reason.
Yes.
And anybody that feels the desire, I think it's like about $788 for the complete house thing, or you can use it in offices or whatever, which is not cheap.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's doing an enormous job, right? And if you think
Right.
about what you're getting out of that, I think that's tremendous value. And I think a lot of the smaller ones are, maybe about $150, $160. They're kind of affordable. So, check it out, see what you think.
Yeah. But always remember in these types of situations that people who are doing this work, if you want to keep and hold a healing, if you want to keep and hold on to the upgrade of the energy, there has to be some type of an exchange. So, although you're like, well, why would he charge for this? You know why? So that you can keep and hold on to it. So you have something tangible with which to continue your work. And that's the way that it works in this society. So please try not to put judgments on, because a lot of people are doing this work in a way that is free and will help you. But once you start vibrating at a certain frequency and vibration of abundance, this is what it begins to look like. So
Yeah.
join in.
Yeah. And what I would also say about that as well is that the prices that he has, given the cost of manufacturing, given everything that's involved in that, I think these are very cheap. And
Exactly.
and because they obviously by being completely sold out, what you could do if you were a standard uh, uh, duality of the mind kind of company, you would have doubled and tripled prices by now.
Exactly. That is very reasonable. $700 for that full package. And what it's going to do for you is a steal,
Yeah.
personally, to me, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. And again,
That
I'd
could be
say,
tens of thousands of dollars he could have charged. That's what I was expecting.
yeah.
$10,000 for the package or some outrage, but
Yeah.
affordable.
Exactly, exactly. That's for the one that you just put in the house. That's a bigger pyramid. But it's, yeah, to me, that is, I think that price is kind of like small profit. Small profit, reach as many people as possible. That's the way I look at that. So, anyhow, talking about ancient technology, and ancient wisdom, how about guided meditation time?
Yes, awesome.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Here we go. We're going to plow straight into this now. We're going to go back to Kerry and then straight into the meditation. So bear with me, please.
As much as that level of disclosure is the truth for all of us, it's not the salvation for all of us. We are, each one of us, as we go through this bottleneck, is going to be asked, can you be the center of your own light right now? Can you be the center of your own world right now? Can you not give your power away and say, well, it's because of all of these external events that I'm going to be fine. You're going to be fine because you are fine, because you find yourself in the authenticity of now. The energies of the higher timeline are energies like allowing. They're energies like acceptance. They're energies like not controlling, not holding on. Trusting life, not trusting somebody else, because that's part of the programming of the false matrix. We needed to trust the right people. At no point did we realize we were the right people. And once the trust in self is established, then you can trust life, and then you can trust others. There's a divine order that we are returning to in that higher timeline. Look at the codes that are calling us to pull us beyond where we've been, beyond the stuck point, beyond even the crossroads of that bottleneck, into the higher wisdom. And when you move in there, it's expansive. When you move in there, it's going to feel like, wow, I don't know why, but I feel like I've got choice again. I feel like suddenly I'm not so constricted, not so limited again, because that's exactly what it will be.
It's time to release the fear. I hope this show triggered you and allowed for some of the things that you're ready to release to come to the surface, because I know that that happened for me. It was quite the roller coaster ride. Did you feel feelings? Did your eyes open wide? Did you feel like there were opposing sides? Did you see something or hear something that piqued your interest, that made you judge? Yes, maybe it's time to let that go. So put your feet flat on the floor, your palms face up on your thighs. Get in your heart chakra and breathe with the rhythm of your body. Ground your energy directly into Mother Earth. Visualize becoming one with her energy, but having that distinct grounding cord of a natural earth element that resonates with you. Grow those roots and feel her nurturing energy. Allow for those vitamins and minerals that your body needs. Yes, you are a magician. For your grounding cord to absorb that vitamin C, that selenium, that iron, all of the things that you need, the potassium. Yes, let your grounding cord absorb this energy. As you then pull your aura in, call your higher self back above you and snap in that astral body. Because today, what we're going to do is release the fear and bring in divine choices. Being able to be okay with other people feeling disappointed, to be okay with people's judgments and criticism. Because through all of that is what? Is love, is consistency, is resilience. There are those who are still going to travel with you on this journey no matter what. And that's part of the transitioning of this energy. But first, it starts with you. So open up your feet chakras like the lens of a camera. Call in that 15% earth energy of a color that resonates with you, and allow for that crown to open simultaneously as that beautiful, amazing, creative, gold, cosmic life force energy comes cascading down with so much love, with so much limitless potential, that the minute that it begins to rain down on your higher self and your aura layer, and it begins to open up that aura layer, and the crown is open to just receive, there's just a sense of relaxation that comes over you. That duality of the mind, that separation, you can see those neurotransmitters and those synapses begin to say, hey, you know what? I love you, right brain, left brain says. I love you, left brain, right brain says. Let's talk. Let's come together. Let's unify. Because in between us is that portal right to the heart, that golden portal. So let's allow for that portal to open And for that energy to cascade down, not only through the spine, but through this portal into the heart, pouring in this cosmic life force energy that's just bursting out and through your core, bringing in nothing but vitality, health, and well-being, as it then begins to trickle down into the third, the second, and the first, mixing in with that earth energy and beginning to fill you up like water fills up a cup. Ooh, it feels like you're just being filled up with the warmest, most healing energy. And it's just moving. It's moving out disease and illness. It's moving out inflammation. It's moving out that heat, that anger. It's moving out those negative cells from the contamination in the food that we eat. And it's sending it straight down the grounding cord, because the high vibing frequency and vibration of the nutrients that you are bringing in through your grounding cord from Mother Earth is that is no match. That food inside of you, no match for that. So get rid of that. Let that energy move throughout that gut, moving out that bacteria, moving out the energy that no longer serves, moving out those parasites, moving out so that you can make divine choices without the influence of foreign entities as it moves up into the third, giving you more of access to your free will, this energy that mixes in, that's bringing in the positive and allowing you to work with you as it moves up into the neck, bifurcating, separating, going down into the hands, moving in that creativity that you need to move your life forward, to make divine choices and decisions, bringing in more responsibility, accountability, and not in some nebulous way, real, concrete accountability, responsibility made manifest as it moves back up into the cranium and starts sprouting out the side channel of your crown, filling up that aura layer, moving out those pictures as the universe knows what to do, drains them, fill them with gold light, store them in your memory bank. As those roses appear 5 feet away from you outside your aura layer, ready to transform and transmute the past, those choices that are still hanging out in your psyche and your subconscious mind. We are here to annihilate, resolve, and dissolve that. Cancel, pull, delete, send to Creator's light, replacing with divine choices of unconditional love, underscored with forgiveness. What does that mean? It means movement forward, leaving the past behind, moving into unspeakable beauty, transitioning into that high vibing 0 point timeline. You know why? Because you've worked out those negative thoughts and limiting beliefs. Move them down that grounding cord. Fill up with that gold light. Let go of the triggers. Take those pictures out of you, drain them, fill them with gold light, store them in your memory bank. Sit in a new divine energy that's filled with this ancient technology. So above your head is a golden sun, and inside is divine choices straight from the heavens, whatever that means to you. For me, it means the creator of all that is. Everything that is well, that is abundant, that is positive, that is aligned with the laws of the universe are in that golden sun above your head. Before we bring it down, let's go back into that core, those lower 3 chakras that most of us think we sit in. But if we were, we would be executing and manifesting. So let's see the love pour into these areas from our heart, that golden life force energy and Mother Earth, the combination of those things, powering up our cells as we move out the negative energy from our gut, the judgment, the fear, the anxiety, the caring about what other people think, that begins to block our creativity. Turn it brown. Brown. Brown represents waste and stagnation. We're going to send that down and out of our bodies so that the fog clears. And that connection between the gut and the mind is clear, energetically as well as physically. So go ahead and allow for that gold light and that earth energy that's moving throughout your body and creating this high frequency and vibration to move that brown energy down your grounding cord. And then you're going to bring that golden sun down, that beautiful golden sun of divine choices coming down through your higher self, the aura layer, and moving through that crown, framing you first, all on the outside of you, all the way down to your feet, and then moving into the center of you. And then all of a sudden, this energy just starts moving, mixing in with the earth energy and the cosmic divine life force energy and the unconditional love you have for yourself and others. This essence moves through you and all of the energies as it then pushes out into your aura layer, down your grounding cord, up into your higher self, lighting up that toroidal field, opening up that heart, pouring love into you and your environment. Because guess what? You have integrity, authenticity. You're making choices now for the benefit of yourself and others and the most loving good. Because what may be high for you may not be high for someone else. So do the love. The highest and best is good, but the loving and best allows for acceptance. Visualize and see this essence move all throughout your body, pushing out into your aura layer. See the vagus nerve and the spine relax, that nervous system, as in it just pushes out into your environment. So this is where it gets good when you start to see, hold the vision of your most loving good. What does that look like? See it in real time. You're living it. It's not a movie. You're in it. So what are you seeing? Your hands and your feet. But what you're not seeing is the whole you because you're in it. You're living it. You're feeling it. Just bliss. And when you're there in it, take the hand of others and see that light move into their vision. Share it. Share it in front of you, behind you, to the side of you. Allow for their visions too to come true in color, moving, living, alive, bringing wellness, abundance, aligning us with the laws of the universe, that equal, unspeakable beauty. Knowing that success is there waiting for you. Paradise, it's saying, come on in. Just come on in. You're already here. Just step across the threshold. As you breathe with the rhythm of your body and know that it is safe for you to live a life that fulfills you. You are worthy and deserving, and so is everyone else around you. As you breathe with the rhythm of your body and you release that judgment, that criticism, that emotional and physical constipation, the lack of being able to manifest and create, move it on out. And that divine choice is moving in because it means execution and manifestation, moving down into those leg channels so that you take action and movement towards that consistently. And that white light now comes beaming down as that pyramid above the toroidal field starts to spin. And that energy is just moving throughout the universe. And that portal of love between your mind, brain, and your heart is open. And those vitamins and minerals from Mother Earth are all throughout your cells. Is that unconditional love from the divine is just powering up everything. So take a deep breath in, exhale, and see some of that beautiful divine choice, golden light move down your grounding cord, really fortifying it again. And Will goes to Mother Earth and say thank you. As you take another deep breath in and exhale, and you give those roses a push outside your aura layer, you blow them up, transmute them into positive creative life force energy for anyone to use. And as you take another deep breath in, you close your hand chakras, visualize, and those double doors of your heart, if they were open, you close them. And you're going to take another deep breath in and close your crown and see that heavenly energy ascend back up. And see the beauty of your higher self standing at a comfortable distance above your crown, ready to commune with you and lead you and guide you towards your most loving good. And as that aura layer just sparkles with loving cleanliness and spiritual joy, and you're grounded and rooted, when you're ready, you can open your eyes.
Beautiful. Thank you, Jolé.
And fear's in the gut. And so we work in the gut because it's just time. It's really time to let go of those little buggers, because we really think we're working every day. But trust me, sometimes the fear is not yours and it's hiding in these little nooks and crannies. And so we just have to blast that out,
Yeah. Yeah.
and really start taking risks and loving each other. And no, emotions are energy in motion, but they're
Yes.
yours. They're yours to deal with.
Yes.
Oftentimes we want that emotional release, right? We want to tell people, we want to get on the phone, we want to talk about it. Talk to their higher self and move with love.
Beautifully said. Okay, Jolly. So what do you think? We wrap up time?
Yes, wrap up time. But we will be back. We shall be back for another meditation. We are up leveling.
Yeah, no, thank you for the reminder. Yeah, we are back at 10 to 7, as we say in the UK, 10 to 7 UK time, which is 10:50 on Pacific and
Mm-hmm,
1:50 Eastern. So for
mm-hmm.
anybody who can make it, we've switched the Thursday to, because we were busy on the Thursday, and we thought, well, we'll do the Sunday because it gives more people a chance. Because obviously, the problem for people in America is that, when you're doing it in the afternoon or the morning, when you're in normal working hours on a Thursday, for instance, it's not always easy to just excuse yourself and disappear off into the ether for a little while. Not everybody's that understanding. So we're going to do it tonight instead, which I know is Pam Gregory's main night anyway. That's when she needs to do it, when she wants to do it, when she gets the most people. And yeah, however many we can add, be fantastic. Other than that, we are going to be doing the newsletter tomorrow, which will have the edited version of this show, and we will have all the usual kind of things. If anybody wants to be part of our community, drop me an email to johndrew@elevatedplanet.life or contact us through the website, which is elevatedplanet.life/contact, gets you through to our free format contact page, and you can write whatever you want. We guarantee to respond. So what else, Jolé?
That is it. Please like, share, and subscribe as always. And we'll see you here again next week.
Yes, we will. Like, share, and subscribe. Much, much appreciated. Love you all. Thank you very much for being here with us. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.